Cost savings calculations are perhaps even more straightforward. It's simply the costs after you implement your cost savings effort versus the status quo or the current state. Whenever you embark upon a business case regarding a cost savings initiative, you have to do the due diligence on the current costs as well as the costs in the future state. You total up the costs in the future state, subtract them from the current state, and voila, you have your cost savings. It's that easy, but the devil is in the details. It's important to note that there are two types of costs. There are actual costs that you are incurring. For example, I'm going to make the assumption that we all own cars. Every 3,000 miles, let's say, we pay $35 to have someone change our oil. That's our current cost. A cost savings measure might be that we change it ourselves. It costs $5 for the oil and another $5 for the oil filter. That's $10 in total. We do this and then save $25 per oil change. Then there is also avoided costs. Costs you'll end up paying unless you do something about it. Let's just say we don't change the oil. If we don't, eventually the engine burns up and we end up paying, let's say, $5,000 for a new engine. The price of the oil change, whether it's $35 or $10, results in an avoided cost of $5,000. Pay the mechanic a little now or a whole lot later. Now let's walk through an example. Let's say you're developing enhancements to your company's customer service software. Now the software you develop does a lot of things. But what it does do, it reduces time for each customer service transaction by 10%. So we're going to walk through the calculations. Let's just say there are 250 customer service reps. Effectively, they work about 6 hours per day. That takes into account breaks and lunch and training time and non-productive time. There are about 240 work days in a year, which accounts for vacations and sick time and holidays. So the total person hours is 360,000 hours in that particular customer service center. Fully loaded costs are about $80 an hour. That includes not only the salary, but benefits and other employee overhead costs, taxes, that sort of thing, for a total cost of $28.8 million for this particular customer service center. Now, you implement your software enhancements, you expect a 10% reduction. That time reduction results in a reduced number of hours, 36,000 hours. So the total hours are now 324,000. Our new costs are a little over $25.9 million. So you save the company about $2.9 million. We'll talk about the time reduction percentages and how you might arrive at that when we talk about non-financial performance metrics and how we determine those benefits. But for the sake of the argument, what we've done now is we've saved close to $2.9 million, and this is how you'd go about setting up your calculations for a cost savings. Let's talk about something that's a little bit thorny. That amounts to a reduction of 25 customer service reps. Where you needed 250 before, now you only need 225. And headcount reductions are never easy. It's an example of creative destruction. Those 25 people need not be let go immediately. If the company so chooses, they can assign them other work. There's often a lot more work than there are people to do it. There's also typically turnover in a customer service organization. A company may decide not to replace the people when they leave. We went from 250 to 225 reps. The company needs to decide what it's going to do with those 25 people. And that's pretty much how you would set up a calculation for cost savings. You would determine where the cost savings would occur, and then you take a look at the current state and how that your initiative would have an effect on some sort of future state and compare the cost one from the other. We're going to stop here and pick this up in the next lecture where we'll talk about calculating benefits when your focus is on non-financial performance improvements.